Many men see silence as strength and talking as weakness. They're not always wrong, but they are sometimes. The key is to know when to talk, what to say, and to whom, and how to break that barrier to having the conversation in the first place. I'm Neil Beerbaum, and I'm going to show you 4 mental health mistakes that men tend to make. We're going to work off the premise that men tend not to talk about what's really going on for them, or if they do, they don't do it in the most constructive way. Here's an illustration of what I mean.
How you doing, son?
Hey, Dad. Just calling to say happy birthday, man. Just calling to check in. How you doing?
Well, you know, the Eagles are 6-2, so I'm doing all right.
That's great, but, like, how are you doing?
Me?
Yeah, Dad. You.
Well, I think a quarterback really took a step up this year.
Hello?
Dad, it's me. I want to talk. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. I'm good. Hey, how's that car of yours holding up?
Dad, I don't want to talk about my car. Let's talk about you.
Me?
Yeah, you.
I just worry about your car, you know? I think that my car just wants to be closer to your car.
So that was how I experienced my father. I've tried to do it differently with my son, as have many men of my generation and beyond. But here are the 4 things that men tend to do that do not serve their mental health or their personal development. Firstly, some men are so used to fronting up that they don't know when they're stressed and need to take a break. And I'm going to show you how to know. Secondly, if those men do recognize something, they tend to think, A, I'm the only one going through stuff, and B, there must be something wrong with me. I'm going to show you how to disprove that to yourself. Thirdly, we men think we ought to be able to solve it on our own. Once again, I'm going to show you when that may be true and when it's certainly not. And number 4, some men haven't developed the range of emotional words, the emotional vocabulary that they need. I will show you how to develop that. So here we go. Men's mental health mistake number 1. We're so used to fronting up that we don't know when we're stressed and need to take a break. As I said, I'm going to show you how to know. So you'll know when you're stressed and you need to take a break when you have a heart attack. Aha. That's less true now than it was a generation ago, but it's still a significant statistic. It's also true behaviorally. For many men, stress is like a hum in the background, like when you have an air conditioner running. You become so used to the noise, you only notice it when someone turns it off. I debrief a personality assessment tool for corporate leaders, and it measures stress levels among other things. And sometimes when the person has a low resilience score, that's what we call it, it's better because they will usually have recognized that they're stressed and be getting help. The problem comes when it's a very high resilience score. Those are the ones who you have to give a warning to. You're in danger of burning out. You're not going to listen until you have a heart attack, are you? And when you point this out, then the truth often comes back. They got sick only last week, they'll say, and they insisted on coming into work anyway. Or they're already back at training. Or they'll admit to having been told exactly that by their spouse, children, or boss. And if you dig deeper, you'll find they're doing too much of something else too, apart from too much working, too much drinking perhaps, too much exercise, withdrawing a lot more than usual. And that unusual excessive behavior, unusual meaning they don't do it as much when things are in balance, is a coping mechanism, a kind of escape. So if you can't hear the background noise, you can look for these other signs, feedback from other people, or your own unusual excessive behaviors. And if someone has already pointed that out to you, you should probably listen. And there is an exception, of course. There's always an exception. You can handle a significant amount of stress in the short term, say 3 to 6 months. But if it's acute, like one single extreme event, or prolonged, more than 3, more than 6 months, then you need to be more careful. Men's mental health mistake number 2. If we do recognize something, we tend to think, A, we're the only one going through stuff, and B, there must be something wrong with me. And I'm going to show you how to disprove that. I've been part of various men's groups, and when you get together and introduce new guys to the group, you ask them to share something about themselves. Always the first round is what gets called the sales pitch. It's all the superficial stuff, and it gets presented in the most positive light. Career, business, family, hobbies, interests. This is going on for me. This is what I do. This is who I am. Then you always do another round, and you invite the men to share a deeper truth. Usually one of the men who has been part of the group for a while will lead, and he'll share more honestly what's not going well for him at that time. Perhaps it's a health issue, a financial issue, or a relationship issue. Then each man has a turn, and slowly all the men start to realize that they're not alone in having stuff going on in their lives. And that's often a breakthrough, key moment for them to realize, okay, I'm not alone on this. So if you're going through stuff and you feel ashamed, like you're the only one, and there's something wrong with that, be like a scientist. Get out your white coat and clipboard and go and interview a few people. I'm sure just having that thought will resolve that one for you. Although actually going out and doing it, literally or figuratively, would be better. For example, you might invite some friends over and ask them what's really going on in their lives and share what's going on in yours. Be aware, though, that sometimes the light-hearted banter between friends is designed specifically to keep things at the surface level and avoid going to that deeper level. So you may need to make a deliberate effort and ask more than once to get beneath the surface. Just as happened in the clip we saw earlier. Men's mental health mistake number 3. We think we ought to be able to solve it on our own. And I'm going to show you when that's possibly true and when it's certainly not. There's a Buddhist saying that an evil man can be helped more than a proud man can. And in my experience, there is a lot of truth in that. I've seen men in real trouble during the midlife phase, behaving in ways that are truly self-destructive, and they won't seek help. And I'm not just talking about drinking, I'm talking about simply being stubborn, refusing to listen, refusing to take the advice or accept the data that's coming in, the feedback that they're getting about life, and they become stubborn, they become hardened, and they insist they're going to do it their way and prove the world wrong. And with very few exceptions, that ends up leading to their ruin. Things get worse. The irony is that their inability to take the feedback and to ask for help stems from pride, and that very pride is what destroys them. By attempting to remain high, we could say, they are taken low. And the thing to know about pride is it's often a defense against low self-acceptance. And here's how that works. When you have a high degree of self-acceptance, you're proud of your achievements, sure, and importantly, you're able to admit to your shortcomings without feeling ashamed about them. You're okay for the world to see and to know that you're not perfect, that you have faults, that there are things you don't know. And that's the key piece, being able to admit, which means share, which means tell someone else that you don't know something, or that you're not good at something, or that you're failing at something, and then asking for support or accepting the support when it comes. If you can't do that, it's because you can't accept that shortcoming. You can't accept that fact about yourself. And not asking for help only makes your problems worse, which puts your self-acceptance into a downward spiral, making it ever harder to break the cycle. There's a good chance that a low self-acceptance is based on some bad experience or experiences, or a lack of emotional support, say, in the past. Maybe every time you exposed yourself, you got put down. It's a very typical thing among men and fathers doing to boys. And so maybe you shut down years ago and you've never challenged that belief. Once again, it's time to be that scientist. Get out your white coat and clipboard and go and test it. Not just once, because sometimes when we try something, the first time it backfires. That's just how life is. So test it a few times and start to gather evidence that will challenge your belief. And I'm confident that it will challenge your belief. And what I mean is that you'll find people are far more receptive and forgiving and supportive than what you currently think. And by the way, this practice of testing your beliefs the way a scientist would, I call that having a curiosity mindset. It's something you could pick up on and use more generally in your life, to examine your beliefs and challenge them more objectively. Think about it. Men's mental health mistake number 4. Some men haven't developed the range of emotional words or the emotional vocabulary that they need. And here I'll show you how to develop that. So the thing with men is we don't have the emotional language, so it's difficult to talk about it. A lot of times when I'm working with men, they'll translate their insights or their understanding into a work solution or a work context. Everything is about the work environment, and they find it very difficult to go inwards and reflect on their own thought processes, feeling processes, and describe them using words. That's exactly what was illustrated in that Saturday Night Live sketch, which shows the sons and the fathers talking about sport or car, but you can tell that he's really talking about himself and his relationship with the son, but he can't say the things directly. It's like he doesn't have the words. So he talks about the car or the sport instead, which becomes analogous. A lot of men do that. They have not reflected enough internally or had those conversations to have developed the language. Women are certainly much better at this than men are. And while we're dealing with this line of argument, it's often said that boys are taught not to cry and that they should learn to cry. I'm not convinced about the crying piece. Boys don't really have a major need to cry. What they do need, and what men need, is to learn a bigger emotional vocabulary. We need to be able to identify what's going on for us internally and find the words to express it. That's the key piece, more than crying. Sometimes if when you're doing that you hit across a sensitive topic or a deep emotion while you're having that conversation, you might naturally tear up. But crying is not the objective. It's more about developing the language, the emotional language, the vocabulary. The way that some men develop that vocabulary is to look at the emotions wheel. It's a wheel with words. You start at the inside with 5 or so distinctions and become familiar with those, and then you work your way outwards, learning more and more words, more and more emotional words within each category. So you can Google that, emotions wheel, and find one and start to work with it. So there you have it. I will do some more of these in a future video. For now, I hope you see some value in communicating more openly, honestly, and authentically than you have been doing, testing it and seeing what different, better results you get. Thank you. And if you found value from that, please remember to subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.